Greetings lads and lasses. My master DualboxDtox welcomes you to today's lecture of how to get good at Anna Williams. And here we go. Aside from attaining presidential status in the Gooner community, this character is what you would describe as an all-you-can-eat buffet. There isn't a single thing this glorified cougar cannot do. Anything from movement, to pokes, to throws, to block pressure, to mix-ups, to stances, to an artificial install. All of that is without a shred of an execution barrier, and with enough personality and fun that would eclipse the existence of her vanilla counterpart, that you would question the validity of the blondie being the base character, instead of this bundle of joy and domestic abuse. Looking at that oversaturated move list from Diablo himself, you would think you will need triple-digit IQ to run this character, when in reality, all you need is this.
Drop it.
Two-thirds of this character's moves transitions you to a crouched state, further providing her with 3 to 4 other mix-up options supporting it, in case the opponent has fully developed frontal cortex. In the business of zoo keeping, full crouched down forward 2 is your absolute bread and butter. It is such a fruitful move that even after you condition an opponent of higher caliber to block it, they have now opened Pandora's box of bamboozlement. Speaking of caliber, if you're an Azul player, do not sleep on this professional gold-digging ankle sniper. Before I start listing the key moves, allow me to express a concern very briefly. It is truthfully alarming how much of everything this character can do, and do it better than most characters in the current roster. Historically speaking, a character like her shouldn't get 13 different plus frame on block moves. And even if that's true, she should not get a strong mix-up game, or the strong poke movement game, or the strong stance transitions that she currently has. All of that together, not only does it strip her of an identity, it pushes other characters out of relevancy. Even a DLC character as recent as Clive is outclassed by this OnlyFans agent in every conceivable way, except in the simplicity and anime fan service department. The recent nerfs did very little to suppress her monstrous potential. In fact, it highlighted hidden game-breaking issues that I wasn't aware of despite me playing her for weeks. Now on the topic at hand, I've categorized them into 4 different sections, each with 3 or 4 most important moves that would more than easily can carry you to Tekken King status. Make no mistake, these are only drops in the ocean of her move list, a list filled to the brim with utility. Pokes 1 and 2. These 2 buttons by themselves pose no threat. What is truly terrifying about them is the amount of mix-up potential attached to each of them, due to the stance transitions available to them both. Having 2 10-frame moves that can transition to stronger stances which can also transition again to other stances, each containing countermeasures to every conceivable response you might have, can quickly turn your opponents into a vegetative state, quicker than their brains can register that the round has already started. Either that, or condition them to revert to lizard brain status and mash on buttons soon as something happens on the screen. Something that both Harada and Murray have been trying to condition us to ever since Leroy has dropped in Tekken 7. Up to this very day, with Murray's Nepo baby doing exactly that. Granted that both 1 and 2 can be either ducked or sidestepped, it still does not change the fact that you are participating in a guessing game where your options are abysmal simply for choosing to block. Down forward 1. Much like 1 and 2, down forward 1 can string you into a stance. Only difference is that it's a mid-hitting move and generically slower at a 13-frame startup. Very strong in both controlling the pace and finishing off opponents towards the end. Additionally, the down forward 1-2-3 string can further bamboozle an opponent as it can cancel into her second and more devastating stance. Coming in third, up forward 1-3. I will be perfectly honest, this move feels massively illegal to use for how good it is, and for the mere fact that the cougar is not in need of it in any reasonable way. It has a 13-frame startup The full string launches you on counter hit at any of the 3 hits of the string. Perfectly safe on block at any given point. The second hit is diabolically good at neutral control, as it can grant you a full launch on counter hit, or simply check your opponents at a good range. Lows. Down 4, a Knight 12 low is universally useful to the extent that it can really damage a character if they don't have it in their arsenal. What makes Anna's down 4 even stronger is that it will mix you from that tiny low poke to where it can lead to losing a big chunk of your health in a blink of an eye, or be conditioned to stay petrified of your own actions towards it. Down back 4. This one is a slightly slower low, in exchange for counter hit knockdown, and it being unseeable, and the mix up potential from automatically going into hammer chance. If anything, this move is far too rewarding to consider any of its weaknesses. Full crouch down forward 2. This is the holy grail for all of you Anagunas. This shit will have you twitching in your sleep, trying to guess where it is coming from. If you thought Yoshi's ankle slicer was a problem, wait till you come across this instrument of Satan himself. This move isn't dangerous because it is a launcher, or because it is fast and unseeable. This move is brain tumor inducing simply because Anna's entire move list is in service to it wholeheartedly. 1 out of 3 of her moves will transition you into a crouched state, where she can still choose to either launch you from this low, or a mid, or do another safe and fast mid. You can train a chimpanzee to center its entire game plan around this move, and watch it hit God of Destruction rank while you are filling your employment applications. 1+2, in my humble opinion, this is the middle-aged IG model's best pressure move, completely locking opponents in place, as it is both homing and plus on block, also rewarding you with devastating follow-ups for simply landing it on normal hit. Chaos Judgment 1+2, as if maintaining offensive pressure wasn't enough, this move can force your opponent into a crouched state while transitioning you into crouch as well, to further enforce one of your oldest tricks in the book. Sidestep 3. I know I haven't mentioned this yet, but the professional divorcee is very good at sidestepping. Sidestep 3 is one of her best pressure moves. It allows her to either lock you in place for another assault, or evade you even further with even a cleaner sidestep. Forward 2. This move on its own poses no real threat even with its plus frames. However, the very existence of forward 3-2 makes this move a full mix-up option from halfway across the stage. This instrument of brain concussion is both plus on block and homing to movements, granting you a whole knockdown advantage if landed, or whatever the fuck you want if blocked. Eat. 3+4, even at a disadvantage of it being unsafe on block, using it as a punisher or a heat dash move can easily turn the tables in your favor, quicker than Harada finds another collaboration none of us asked for. Chaos Judgment 2. 1. It is one thing to have a 10 frame as a stance option. It is another thing when that shit is an actual string mid-heat engager with enough range to never worry about it woofing whatsoever. No amount of crack cocaine smoked or did he love potions consumed can justify adding this move to her roster. Forward 3-2. I have already mentioned forward 2 previously. Well, much like Anna, this is its evil twin sister. Only difference is that, unlike the sisters, these two are designed to work together. One operates off of the fear of the other, collectively controlling the long and mid-range. And just in case all of this wasn't enough, you have forward 3-3 as a low extension that transitions to full crouch. So you know what that means. Saying this character is centered around her stances is a massive understatement. Not only do they make up half of her move list, the transitions themselves are almost entirely undetectable. Neither the naked eye nor decades of Tekken experience can bridge any knowledge gaps while fighting this spawn of Satan. It is as if this DLC business model is meant to force most people to buy it just to defend against it. But what do I know? I'm just a consumer. Chaos Judgment, one of her 4 stances in total, and by far her best battle stance. It completely eclipses the other 3 in utility and mix-up potential that you will start to wonder what was the quality of the weed consumed when they decided that this wasn't enough and 3 more stances was needed. Hammer charts, like the name suggests, this stance is meant to remind you that you are the hammer and everyone else is a nail. Getting casually pistol whipped with a whole bazooka will make you rethink your actions at any given point, especially when getting pummeled with a hunk of metal isn't the only option available for this stance, as the mix-up options here are almost as good as Chaos Judgment. Pleasure Time, this one has fewer options, but far more devastating than the previous two, balanced only by its limited number of ways that you can access them. Roll. This one is a sub-Chaos Judgment stance, as it can only be transitioned into it from being in Chaos Judgment. One might think that the two launching, safe on block options are scary, but in my opinion, the most terrifying thing is when you realize that transitioning from pressing nothing into full crouched is a third option, where the safety of your ankles disappears into thin air. If you watched this video up to this point, you might get the impression that this character is flawless, and on surface level, you would be correct. However, once you play this character, you will realize one glaring weakness, which is the fact that her pokes and immediate pressure tools are obnoxiously short-ranged. The average Ana has no clue what to do if their opponent is anywhere further than range 3. This is something an Ana player might notice without playing Ana, as the blondie suffers from the same issue. Ana only has 3 common moves that covers long ranges. All 3 can easily be managed with a bit of familiarity, as you can easily interrupt their slow startup frames, sidestep them, or duck punish into a massive rewarding damage. If you pay attention, you will see most Ana players with their pokes far more frequently than other characters, or struggle against a player who mastered Korean backdashes. Subsequently, you will notice how most of her pro players prefer smaller stages over larger ones for that very reason. In terms of efficiency, by far this is the most efficient character in Tekken 8. As of making this video today, there is enough to rely on, without the burden of execution, or margin of error. There is enough to comfortably mix up your opponents, with only a fraction of the risk most other characters are forced to accept with their own mix-up options, and enough to exploit knowledge gaps, for her move list is abnormally large, with very few moves that can be considered useless. And on top of all that, this character has enough skill ceiling that would make you frustratingly hard to beat, and in all honesty, insanely fun to play. As easy it is to cheese with this character, you will eventually get put in your place by anyone who can peel off gimmicks with surface level fighting game legacy knowledge. On the other hand, if you take the time to commit to mastering this character, which is not an easy feat, you'll get rewarded immensely. The mark of a good Ana can be seen in a fully mastered stance transitions, in mastering executionally demanding moves like quarter circle forward 1 and QCF2-1, fully utilizing Chaos Judgment's low parries, and perfectly implementing the mental stress that comes from lovely Tom's purple flames. That would conclude today's lecture. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to subscribe for more upcoming character guides. Feel free to also check out my Ana gameplays.